Peace and magic to the gods and the goddesses tuned in. So today we got some new shit for y'all. So this series is gonna be a new series. You gotta put the duality in there. I give y'all a lot of shadow work and a lot of shadow shit or whatever. So this series is gonna be called Influence is Communication with Issue. And this is gonna be part one. And this one is gonna be called Oligarch. So, welcome y'all. Welcome to Influences Communication. And we gonna pretty much in this series, we gonna break a lot of different shit down to y'all in this series or whatever. So it's gonna be a lot of path choosing. So I know word origins give y'all a lot of debt on like words and all that shit. This one is kind of gonna do the same, but it's like this one is going to touch more into like geopolitics and all that shit even more. Cause it's like that's what we learning all this shit for. Cause it's like you got everything connected in one. So once you realize like all the shit that's happening in the world is connected to like one or whatever, and all that one main source of power or whatnot, then it's like you gotta look at the world as like a chessboard. And it's like people should be predictable to me. Honestly, do. Honestly do, because it's like, should I do tarot readings and all this shit? And I'm not just saying on tarot readings, but it's like I like to learn, and it's like history literally repeats itself all the time. It do, and it's like shit. The way shit going right now is predictive programming. So it's like you can tell a lot of shit and just see through a lot of bullshit, and that's what influence and communication. Influence is communication is about to be about. It's pretty much focusing on like people with influence, because influence is communication. Like people sit up and worship motherfuckers because they got clout and money, but not even realizing what the fuck is really going on behind the scenes with a lot of shit, especially like politics and all that. So in this part, oligarch, that's what we talking about. And for y'all don't know who what oligarch is or whatever, pretty much oligarch is just like the very origin of it is one of a few holding political power. So pretty much a oligarch is a billionaire. It's a billionaire. That's pretty much like they okay. When you hear the word oligarch and like or even see it in like articles and all that shit from like news media outlets or whatever, the Western always gives like shit stigmas. And what I mean by stigmas is like, mm, they'll say oligarch is just a Russian thing. And so automatically when people hear the word oligarch or see it, they like relate it to Russia or whatever. But that's not the case because these people exist in every country. It ain't shit but just like a group of billionaires and all that shit. They got political influence, meaning they know how to get on the political scene and pay these politicians and all these motherfuckers out to get shit done that they want done. And that's what essentially what America is. So it's like I don't know why they just keep pointing Russia and all that shit out when like majority like all these countries is built the same way, even America. Like the oligarchs in America pretty much are the individuals that's in the electoral college. Meaning they get to pick the president. So it's like a big ass circle of like billionaires like America, for example, is Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. I can go to Mark Zuckerberg, like just to name a few or whatever. But it's like it's a lot of these motherfuckers in America. It's just not in Russia or whatever. It's it's just not limited in one country. These motherfuckers are everywhere. The UK, where else? China, pretty much all these countries, Canada, Mexico. It's like all these countries got oligarchs. They literally is just a group of rich billionaire motherfuckers who got political influence. They just know how to use their money to get laws and all that shit passed. Like to get politicians bought out and all that shit, to blackmail them and all that shit. It's just that's how oligarchs work. It's just like a school. You know when you like in school and all that shit, you got different groups of individuals. Like you got the jocks, the cheerleaders, and all that shit. You got the geeks, the band geeks, it's the group it goes deep like that. It's like how all these oligarch groups are. It's just like that. It's based on some high school ranking type shit. But the crazy part, but it's like with the oligarchs or whatever, they really just pawns. Cause it's like in the previous video or whatever, where Origins with Lucifer, I spoke on it or whatever, and it's like pretty much these oligarchs, like, yeah, they're billionaires, but at the same time they pawns, because it's like they don't create money, they don't own banks and all that shit. They don't own that shit because they can't infiltrate the group that do, and the group that does is the Israel oligarchs, because they the ones who fucking control all the world banks and the central banking system or whatever. So it's like, again, once you could make money and control the banks and all that shit or whatever, and the banks is at yours with the willy nilly or whatnot, all these motherfuckers outside, including all these billionaires, really is just pawns to you, because it's your money that you created that made them billionaires. And that's how people don't look at that shit like that. And it's like, they easy to spot because a lot of them call themselves philanthropists and all that shit. And philanthropy is weird as fuck to me. It's like you got Bill Gates and all that shit. Pretty much they don't do shit but just experiment on humanity. That's all philanthropy does. They just experiment on humanity. I'm sorry. Like, this topic is like crazy as fuck to me because it's so evident or whatever. Like, about geopolitics and all that shit. It ain't shit, just corrupt rich ass people. And it's like, if you learn how to follow the money trail or whatever and understand how money flows and all that shit, you see literally how all this shit is planned out in front. Even in the media, all that shit, wars and all that shit. I don't know. This the part that's really crazy, because it's like this shit is like showing how to play spiritual chess. It's like understanding what's going to happen next. It's like you got to look at the upper ranks and the upper echelons in order to predict events, because society revolves around them, because they're the ones who control society. Simple. But people like to be small, man, especially especially black people in America. Black people in America are so small-minded. So small-minded. Like, we can't even get out of our own hoods and cities and all that shit alive. But yet you got all these billionaire motherfuckers. We the only ones who not at the table. That just show you where our priorities are as a group of people. It is fucked up, whatever. But hey, that shit finna change, and that shit finna change. I'm telling you, it's finna change, or whatever. So the next question is like, how do oligarchs and all that shit affect politics? Pretty much, we gonna keep saying, I'm gonna keep embedding this into y'all head. Politicians get into office because they have to go on campaigns and all that shit. They gotta get donors and all that shit to donate to them, or whatever. So that's what all these billionaires come in at. All these billionaires come in and donate, and they all do their backhanded business deal behind closed doors. That's how these politicians get these campaign donations in order to get all this propaganda and all this shit out, is that they make these deals with these billionaires and promises and all that shit to make laws and shit in their favor. That's how politics and all that shit work. It's just we gonna say some shit in front of y'all face, but behind the doors we gonna do the whole opposite shit of what the fuck we said. Politics ain't shit but like an entertainment game for rich people to just throw y'all off and make y'all stupid. That's all politics is. And that's why all these oligarchs and all that shit come in or whatever, is because pretty much a Democrat and a Republican may be two different parties, but they all still work for the oligarchs, because that's who's paying for all that shit. These oligarchs are literally what's paying for all these political parties to still be going. And it's funny because people always like, Democrats and Republicans, these politicians, they all cool as fuck with each other. They all run in the same circles or whatever. But it's like they got y'all fooled because y'all be out here arguing with each other about Democrat or Republican. or whatever. So you see the disconnect with the citizens, it's a whole ass divide because y'all going against each other over two parties that's funded by the same motherfucker. It's funded by the same group of motherfuckers. It's crazy as hell how this shit work once you start realizing geopolitics and all that shit. And geopolitics is just world politics. Maritime law, like the shit flows. Like maritime law is pretty much ocean business, meaning sailing, navigation, and all that shit. And that's what all this shit is. That's what all this shit is maritime law. And you can plot the course of how this shit goes if you just stay in tune and trust yourself and start to like keep kind of paying attention to what the fuck is going on around you more. Meaning you gotta be learning all the time. People don't realize how important knowledge is. Knowledge is literally power itself. It's literally power itself. It's just fucking common sense. That's all power is. It's common sense and using perspective on all the choices that you have. You can choose to take the time to like learn shit or whatever, or you can choose to take time to watch a fucking basketball game and play 2K. Let's like learn. You gotta use your time wisely while you here alive and all that shit. It's too much information. This is the information age. You can look up what the fuck you want to look up if you know what the fuck you're looking for. All you gotta do is use Google. Literally, all this information is on the internet for people to look up, but people refuse to do this shit because people are lazy. And that's why I say all the time, like, ignorance is a motherfucker, because ignorance has to go. Ignorance is constantly leading to the destruction of this earth. And nature ain't playing with y'all. Nature and the universe is not fucking playing with y'all no more. It's a major wipe coming soon. It's time to get rid of glitches. Hey, middle class people is finna be out the door, so you either rich or you poor. Which one you finna be? Because the predictive programming is showing what the fuck finna happen, and if you ain't paying attention, then shit is finna show. And I'm only telling y'all out of this out of love, but it's like my intentions is to help guide people and to help people understand who the fuck they are, what they capable of life, like how to use magic and all that shit, how to wield anti-magic as well. But it's like you gotta trust yourself and be confident and have knowledge in who you are and what you're capable of in life, melanated people. Because we got a long storyline and that shit needs to be told. It needs to be told. So we gonna cut this shit here and right now. And I want y'all, as always, to stay dangerous. It's Deity Gang and Walter.